Welcome to another new old computer stream. The theme for tonight is even more BlueSCSI. I'm sure you're all sick and tired of trying to figure out what's wrong with a couple of BlueSCSIs at this point. But I still have BlueSCSIs to fix, so well, I don't know if you know, but the format of this stream is basically to share whatever projects I have ongoing and kind of share my process for figuring out what is wrong with some old equipment or some new equipment sometimes. And well, this is a process that I just really enjoy. Yeah, how could anybody be tired of BlueSCSIs? BlueSCSIs are amazing. I love the BlueSCSIs. And yeah, they're also awesome little projects because they're fully open source, open hardware. You can learn a lot about electronics. You can learn a lot about microcontroller coding and about the SCSI specification, I suppose, by playing around with the BlueSCSI. Also, they are super handy for bootstrapping an old Mac that has a failed hard drive as a side benefit, and of course any other SCSI capable computer like, I don't know, a Next Cube or like a Backstation or something. Oh, I haven't put on my my little microphones. I should probably do that. I don't know if, to be honest, I don't know how much those microphones are helping. They're pretty cheap. And where did I put them? Over here. Yeah, I'm not sure where my microphones went. I did a little bit of house cleaning earlier. Maybe the door. Nope. Where is my... I'm sure they'll show up eventually. I'll spot them soon enough. Let me know if my voice isn't audible. I think they go through the camera now. I'm not gonna do a ton of advanced soldering today, so probably not gonna be too noisy. Anyways, so oh, actually, so as a first for this stream, I'm gonna open a couple of packages. I recently got just a few packages that I think are all retro tech related in one way or another. So I'm gonna open them. I've done my best to anonymize all the labels. I don't think anybody's name is on it. No, I see no. Oh, but there's one name. I'll better black it out. If I can find my... Oh, there is my Sharpie. I'm just gonna cover up somebody's name there. I think it's the sender of this package. So yeah, let's open some packages. I'm gonna switch over to the bench. I think this will work out all right for package opening. So let's grab a little X-Acto knife, and oh, the blade came out. That's not a good sign. Let's screw that back on there. I think it's secure again now. Yes. So you have one USPS small parcel flat rate box. I'm going to make sure it's retro tech related, so it's not my wife's socks or something like that. And oh yeah, I know what this is. This, my friends, is the clone PCB for a performer accelerator. This is an accelerator for a Macintosh Plus, SE, or Classic that you can fit in either the PDS slot or into the CPU socket, depending on the computer. And get a 68030 CPU for your old 68,000 Mac. And I think 33 megahertz. Oh, there, it says right there, there's the name of the project. The Performer PLCL-SE, where PL is plus, CL Classic, SE is SE, obviously. Yes, this comes from friend of the show, Bacchus in Norway, who got a bunch of these ordered, and I got one of these from him by way of Stinkerton, another friend of the show. And this is a future project to build this accelerator, which is super exciting. By the way, the accelerator is designed by Bolle, a very talented engineer who has, among other things, designed the C30 Reloaded, which was where I got these streams started. Right, I did like 400 episodes streaming my failed attempt to build a SC30 Reloaded. I think this has a very high chance of success. It's a much simpler project than the Reloaded. So super excited about this. Maybe I'll just show, I think I have the page up here. If not, I can open it. Performer. So I go over to the, just here it is. This is the Git project for the Performer to clone this MicroMac product. This is the original board. This is the clone board after it's built. So basically you need a couple of GALs, these logic chips, programmable logic chips, and you need a CPU, 68030 CPU, and you need an FPU, and 68882 FPU. And yes. Yeah, I think it is a 16 megahertz CPU clock, but you can run the FPU at 25 megahertz. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. That's a future, as I said, it's a future project. Super excited about that. I have all the parts. So it's just a matter of building it. I'll put this over here. And next up, blue package. Let's get the scissors out. It's not a wallet. This is somebody reusing this box. Oh yeah, there we go. So this, my friends, is a an Intel Pentium MMX 200 megahertz. And this is part of a project to deck out the Canon PC that's been featured in the now infamous Dallas chip modification series that's on my channel. I read up on the motherboard, and supposedly it supports up to 200 megahertz MMX Pentium. So that's a project in the near future to deck out the Canon PC. Maybe I'll do it if my other projects today are quick. I can maybe do it today. And next up, here's another package. There's violence to open this one. Oh, here we go. Look at that. I know what this is. This is a little package from my friend PotatoFi, who is famous for his very, very high quality BlueSCSI brackets and PieSCSI cases, among other things. He's a very talented person. And this is his packet potato. I believe this is a device that he designed, created, for capturing Wi-Fi packets and I think blinking LEDs. It's like a little conversation starter, as I understand it. It says not sure if packet analyzer. And we have, of course, Fry there of Futurama fame. So it could be more than that. I could be mistaken that that was another device of his. I should, this is another fun thing to build and figure out what it's doing. So thanks so much, PotatoFi, for sending this very fun little project, including all the parts, of course. And here's a lanyard, I think, so you can carry it around your neck. And here's more parts, a little daughter board, and some PotatoFi stickers. Awesome stuff. I think I'll put them back into this anti-static bag so that I can, well, I don't, yeah, put them back in here. Good to keep everything in one place. And I put it on my little project table over here. And final package, this is just an Amazon thing that I ordered for myself, but it's very related, and just so happens to be 2 Raspberry Pi Picos, like so. And I'm going to swap out the Picos in my very cranky BlueSCSI V2 and see if that makes a difference to the power consumption or the voltage drop. It smells kind of musty. Don't know where. This is kind of like a very flaky package. Look at that. Is that normal for these? Hopefully they're good, but you never know when you buy from Amazon. Oh, I found my microphones. Let's turn one of these on. Alright, so let's put the picos aside. So I want to start with looking at our BlueSCSI v1.1 because that's the one that's closest to being ready to just put away into this any computer and forget about it for a while. So where we left off last time, there were two problems remaining with this thing. For one, we weren't getting any voltage. We weren't getting any voltage on the either the power or activity header, which are these headers here. We didn't get any. We didn't see any voltage coming through on those. And secondly, the top of the micro SD card holder came off, and I did talk about replacing it. However, I put the top back on, and it's actually stuck on there pretty good. So I don't think anything broke. I think it was just pushed off, you know, by some excessive force. And as a matter of fact, when I put this BlueSCSI back in its potato pie case, I noticed that, let's see if I can grab a micro SD card over here. There it is. Anyways, so here's the micro SD card. It's just a regular SanDisk card, and I'm just gonna simulate. So normally you would this would be held down by two screws here. So this is gonna be hard. Maybe I can show it in the microscope. See if that looks at all useful. So yeah, it's gonna be hard to see, but when you push this micro SD card into this holder, to the slot, while in this case, you see, of course, you're supposed to, the top of the slot is supposed to be pushed up a bit. But because of the angle that it's coming in from, because there's a little raised cutout here, which is very handy for guiding your inserting of this SD card. It is about, I would say, 0.5 millimeter too high. So it exerts a constant upwards force on this slot cover. And I believe that's what caused it to pop off. So maybe some of these little hooks here have bent, these little, whatever you call them, tabs. So I was chatting to PotatoFi about this because he's the one who designed these cases, and he said that he fixed that in a later revision and lowered this cutout ever so slightly. But what I have is an earlier revision that I got about a year ago from him. So I believe to avoid any further damage on this micro SD card slot, I am going to bring out a fan favorite tool, namely the Dremel, to grind this down a little bit, so that we get less of a unwanted pressure on this poor strained SD card. So let's do the fun stuff first. So to kind of get off to a little light-hearted start. So yeah. The Dremel, of course, was a popular tool when I used it in the Dallas chip video. It's still a little bit dusty here from the epoxy that came off that chip. Well, hi Xenocyte, welcome. Welcome, welcome. You're just in time for some Dremel action. Seems like I really caused some damage to this tool. There's like, it's chipped there. Probably need to get new bits for this Dremel soon. So yeah, we want something that can grind down this. I don't know, this is not good. So this might still be the best option. I really need to get more bits for this thing. Some polishing bit. It's like felt. This is more like a cutting tool. Maybe this one. Yeah, this might work. I don't know what the material here is like. Feels like sandstone almost. I don't know what this normally is supposed to be used for. But let's try and see if we can get some traction with this for starters. So let's get the bit in there and then use the tool to secure it. And then, well, that's yeah, I'm not getting very good reach with it. This is not good. No, this is not gonna work. It's not gonna work. It's hard when you work with that kind of recessed area. So maybe I'll have to use the same tool as pretty much ever. Poor thing, that's now pretty damaged. Oh my gosh, now this is, yeah. Maybe I lied. Maybe I have to use just regular files for this. This is not. So I might start with this anyway. Actually, so let's use the other bit, the first one that I tried. I can start out by grinding it down this way, horizontally, so to speak. A razor blade. Well, that's not as dramatic. Let's start with power tools and see what happens. Like so. And of course, need to protect my precious eyes. See what happens. Try not to go too deep or you will dig into the infill pattern and whatnot. Only shave off the SD card slot thing. Yep, that's a good idea. That's that little SD card shaped thing there. That's pretty much what I did now. Let's unplug this thing. That was fun. Always love using the Dremel. So I think we should clean that up a little bit. Maybe I'll get my a little file set here. I have very cheap set of files. And the thick spots will be somewhat hollow, but not entirely. Let's see how we see this too. Finished job with this. Yeah, not too bad. See if that's enough to relieve the pressure. So we drop that on there again. Take the micro SD card. Yeah, I think that's perfectly fine. I think that was all that we needed. Get some of the fragments off there, the edges. Yeah, so we lost the SD card outline, which is a bummer for aesthetic reasons. But yeah, that will be covered like 99.9% of the time anyway, so not too much of a loss. So modification number 1 is done. I'll put away the Dremel bits for now. I'm gonna put away these tools. Gonna go dust off this cover. So on to problem number 2, and this is something that after the previous stream, I just had this inkling that, wait a minute, when the activity light isn't working, I think there's something that you just haven't done to the board. Like it's some kind of modification, but it's something you need to build into the board. Oops, sorry. So I did a quick search on let's see here on the BlueSCSI wiki, and lo and behold, there is a page for external LED. Part applicable for the 1.1 board, which we have, states that the power and activity pins are on the board. Behind the SD card, you can install 1/8 watt resistors at R1, power R2, activity on the top ledge of the PCB, kits and assembly, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, the recommended is about value is 330 ohms. Anything between 300 and 500 should be safe. Your LED will be dimmer the higher the resistance. Yeah, you can use the calculator at the bottom of this page to calculate the exact resistance you need if you know the LED value. So, oops. So the answer was very simple. I need to install resistors, and so it says at the edge of the board. And yeah, if you look carefully at the board, right? Oops. Let's see if I can. It's always hard to. There we go. R1 and R2. They are unpopulated. Whoops. And yeah, you can see the traces go straight over to. Oh, where you can't see that. They go probably under the board. But we need to populate those two. And also we need to obviously our goal is to reuse the LED that's mounted, the factory LED that's mounted on the drive bay for this this SC30. And we did learn through the BlueSCSI V2 process that these are that this probably has requires quite a lot of power to be bright. So I'm going to go with the three. I don't know the precise value for this LED, but I'm gonna go with the lowest resistance recommended, and I mean 300 ohms, so that we can get the brightest possible LED. We really want it to blind us, you know, burn hole in our retinas as we use this SC30. So yeah, let's get some resistors out. Yes, I have them over here in my little cabinet. I have this this cheap kit that I got from somewhere, Placebo kit. It has 600, contains 600 through-hole resistors. I don't know what the wattage is, but I assume it's on the lower side. It should probably be something lower than 1 watt. Yeah, I don't think it says. Oh, look, it's actually 1/4 of a watt. It says here, and the recommended value is 1/8 of a watt. So they're actually. Yeah, to be honest, I'm an amateur when it comes to electronics, so I don't know what happens if something is spec'd for a wattage and then you use something that's spec'd for twice the wattage. I just know that, you know, the more watts, like the more power, the more electricity that passes through a resistor, the higher a wattage rating it needs to have. Obviously, otherwise it will blow up. So in a PSU, for instance, you do want pretty beefy resistors. So yeah, maybe this is not a good idea, but let's install. Well, actually, I don't have 300 ohms. The lowest is 330, which is the recommended, anyways. And I think these, form factor wise, these are just ever so slightly too big. Let's grab 2 of those resistors. So yeah, they will probably not fit perfectly in here, and I may want to source the right form factor at some point to make for cleaner installation, but I think this is okay, at least for testing. So we're just gonna slide that resistor in there, like so. Yeah, it's a bit too big for that, for BlueSCSI. And let's solder that one in first, actually, before we do anything else, because it's a bit crowded. So there we go. Let's do quick work of that. Turn on the soldering iron. Let's grab our flux. I like to use flux on this board just because the pads are so small that it's well, it's always recommended to use flux, but anyways. Let's solder that on. Oops. Here we go. Snip, 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 snip these legs. I think I'll save these. It's always nice to have legs lying around if you need to make jumpers or something. Gonna keep these legs. Let's install the other resistor. Like so. So it's in there fairly flush. So you can, I don't know if we can get focus on that. But, oh yeah, kind of. So they're in there. It's not too bad, but it's not pretty. There we go. Snip off the legs. Save the legs. So they're in there. One is sticking out a little bit. Let's push it in. There we go. And I don't think it's shorting out against anything, so that's good. So let's test this thing to see if we now are getting something on the power and activity pins. Let's put the resistors away. You really want them. They are they are very handily or helpfully sorted by lower to higher resistance, the way they came from the factory. And it's a good idea to keep it that way. So you want to find the exact right spots. 700, 270, and then 330. There you go. So yeah, I'm gonna start out. Let's start out by testing what the oscilloscope shows us when we hook this up. So I'm gonna get the micro SD card, push it in there, like so, and we need the logic board. Mac SE30 logic board. Connect that. And connect the logic board to the computer, the analog board. And that should be enough for testing. Let's bring out the scope. Oops. Oh, there it is. Okay, good. So we have the scope. So we have a couple of ground pins. It's a little bit tight here. But let's see if we can get this alligator clip onto one of these pins without shorting, which is kind of hard. Yeah, it's a bit precarious, but I think this is okay. And let's take off the hood. Actually, I'm gonna bend the ground pin a little bit to the side, just so that we don't get shorts. Alright, so we want to test the plus pin on power first to see if we get activity on the power LED, and then on the activity LED as the computer starts to boot, which takes 9 minutes, by the way. Turn it on. So power. Oops. Yep. So we're getting 3.7 volts, which is on the lower side. It may not be enough to drive the LED, we'll see. And then on the activity pin, so right now nothing, of course, because the computer, oh, there we go. So now it's starting to boot. Yeah, so we're getting the same amount, so 3.8 or so on the activity pin. No, I haven't done anything to the installation on that. I'm probably gonna switch back to system 7.5 or 7.6. But well, I'll definitely try cleaning up the system folder to see how we can optimize it. I haven't given up yet, but I do think that for the best 8.1 experience, probably need an accelerator in this thing. 16 megahertz is a bit slow for 8.1. So next up, let's hook up the LED. See if we can get a good view somehow. Maybe I'll just switch over to this view and then put it like so you can see the LED sitting over there. Then we hook up the activity header and the LED header, like so. So here's where you want to avoid shorting out anything. I think that's good enough. Let's turn it on. See if we get activity on the yellow LED eventually. We have gray screen. And I don't see anything. It is accessing the BlueSCSI. Oh, wait. No. Oh yeah. No, it actually it's really dim though. It's very, very dim. So it's hardly showing up on camera. But if I look very closely, I can see the LED lighting up inside there. So it is working, but 3.7, 3.8 volts is with the 330 ohm resistance seems to, oh yeah, that's 300. Anyway, 3.7, 3.8 volts seems to drive this at a very dim level. So one thing I want to try is, so I know that, I'm pretty sure that the STM32 is actually less efficient than the Raspberry Pi Pico. And there are a lot of machines where you need to supply external power. That termination power is not enough to drive a BlueSCSI V1. So let's see what, I want to see what happens. How much more voltage do we get if we hook up PSU voltage rails directly to the BlueSCSI. So this is where it's, of course, getting, I need to move the tools out of the way. Because we don't have too much reach. So I need to hook this Berg connector on here. And then I'll just place the BlueSCSI like so. And let's turn this on. We can actually, I think we can test right away on the power LED, how much voltage we're getting now. Like so. Yeah, it's because it's 4.6, 4.7 volts, which is a lot more. It's still pretty darn dim though. Is this the best it's gonna get with the stock LED? Even when we supply 5-volt rail right into it? Maybe that's as good as this tired old LED is gonna get, potentially. We can always, let's compare what happens when we put the stock hard drive in there. Although I don't, it's getting 4.6, 4.7 volts now though. I think I'm okay with this. There's like, what's it called, a light tunnel, whatever it's called. It might look okay when viewed from the front. So I think I'm happy with this. But let's keep the external power though. I think that helped a little bit. So yeah, I think this is good. I think this is good now. So I'm just going to screw the BlueSCSI into its case again. Yeah, I think if you want to get a really bright LED, you just put in a brand new one. There we go. BlueSCSI is in place. Hopefully we won't need this long SCSI cable. Now, as a matter of fact, you know, after sleeping on it, I think I'm also gonna do a quick refurbishment of this floppy drive. I think it's good practice to preemptively replace the inner cog of the floppy drive eject motor, because it's going to fail. sooner or later. And it's probably good to also lubricate the mechanism a little bit. So there are a lot of good tutorial videos on how to service these floppy drives online. So I'm not gonna go through this too slowly, but I'm definitely going to just talk to how you service these things. So as you can see, the original lubricant there is pretty well. It's not too bad. It's actually pretty moist still. So this system has clearly been kept in a climate-controlled area its whole life. But I think it's good to put in some new lubricant. In fact, I've sourced this thing. This is M-Coat EM30L and LGI. You know, normally you buy this is a lubricant grease. Normally you buy this. It says lubricant grease in large jars, and I didn't want to purchase like $200 worth of grease. So this is, I think, folks on eBay repackaged and sell in these little containers. And according to a source that I trust, this is chemically very close to the grease that Apple used to lubricate these old Sony drives. So if you use too thin a lubricant, then it's not not gonna stay on for long enough, and it's going to kind of just run off. And if you use too thick a lubricant like lithium grease, it's going to start collecting dust and gum up the mechanism pretty quickly. That's a mistake I made early on. I put a ton of lithium grease on one of the earlier, I think the first drive that I refurbished, and when I went back to use it a couple of months later, it had all gummed up inside, and I had to take it out and redo the lubrication. So the way that you service this is that you first of all, you need to get the drive itself into the inserted state, and I think there is a way you can kind of push on something in there to get it to pop down. But normally I just use this this blank floppy that I have. And just kind of start to insert it, and once the mechanism starts coming down, you kind of, okay, it comes out. Okay, so that trick isn't working today, but it gives you an idea, right? So you have to push on this little lever here, not lever, but part of the mechanism. So if you can't figure out how to get this to go down, you just observe what's happening when you insert a floppy disk. Like so. And once you've done that, you want to use something like tweezers to unhook these little springs on the side here. Oops, come on. It's the stubborn one. There we go. Then you hook up, you remove the spring on the other side, like so. And with that you should be able to just lift the entire assembly, the top assembly out. So you gently lift the top reed head up, very gently. You don't want to bend this too much, because if you bend this out of shape, you basically ruin the drive. But yeah, the top comes off like so. So yeah, it's a good idea to just wipe, clean this off with a little bit of alcohol and re-lubricate it. So now we're inside the mechanism. Oh, it's pretty dusty here. It's a good thing that I opened it up. A lot of dog hairs. So for the ideal clean, you also want to get these 4 little rings off. And for that, I usually let's see here. I use a guitar pick like this. This is a very well used guitar pick. It's kind of starting to come apart, but it's still okay. So yeah, you want to just slide this underneath each of these rings, and then hold your finger on top so it doesn't. When you pop it off, it doesn't fly away into oblivion. So you just pop that off like so. Like so. Like so. And last one. There you go. So now the bottom part of the mechanism comes off, but it's held in by the eject motor. And the eject motor is, I suppose, the main act today when it comes to this floppy drive. So there are 2 screws that hold the eject motor in place. You want to unscrew those. And then you want to unplug the little cable here on the back. And you just lift the eject motor out. And then you have and then you can lift out the bottom part of the drive. Well, it's not about it. I guess it's the middle part. I'm sure that all of these parts have proper mechanical engineering names that I don't know of. So a bit of dust here. Yeah, so basically you want to just wipe off, get all the dust and old grease off here, and then reapply some grease. But yeah. The reed head motor screw there also has a lot of lubricant. It's hard to see, not getting great light there. But I just wipe off the really gross black stuff, and I don't really re-lubricate it. I haven't found that necessary yet, and I don't want to get too much alcohol in there. But yeah, let's do the eject motor thing first. So there are a couple of variants of this one. It's kind of dark. Let me see if I can get studio lights on like so. I don't know if that's better. Maybe a little. So there are a couple of variants of this eject motor, depending on the revision of the Sony drive. But I think this is by far the most common one, where the bottom cover here is held on by 3, 4 plastic clips, or actually it's 3 clips and 2 guides. So the easiest way to get this off is just to grab on with your fingernail and pull back one of the clips and then lift it out. It's a little bit fiddly, but it's not too hard. You hold on to the clip and then you put your fingernail underneath the lid, and then it comes right off like that. And you can immediately see that the offending gear there has a different color. It's a different type of plastic. So I did learn recently, I don't know if this is the whole story, but this was a safeguard mechanism against failures of this mechanism, where if the mechanism got stuck, so rather than burning out the motor would just keep applying torque while the gears weren't spinning. So yeah, rather than burning out the motor, the gear would break. So it's made of softer type of plastic. So you just lift off this gear. That gives you access to the gear that you need to replace. So you can just lift that up with your fingernails as well, like so. And yeah, this is a clear sign of deterioration. It starts getting green. It's hard to see with this camera, but yeah, maybe like that. Oh, let's put it under the microscope. It's not super easy to see from this angle, but yeah, it's green right there, and that's where you know, this drive has probably sat unused for 20 years, and it's held up against there's one metal cog there, that one. So there's some kind of chemical reaction that happens there, some kind of oxidation between the metal and the plastic. So please don't scream at me, but I like to try to see how brittle these are. So this is clearly still a gear, right? The shape is okay, but what happens if we try to break it, bend it? Oh, actually no, it's pretty. I like to see how brittle it is, but this one is actually holding on pretty well. Yep. Yeah, this one is a fighter. I can bend it like this, and it's just flexing, which means that the plastic is very intact. I think it's the first time I've seen one of these that's in such good shape. And I've refurbished maybe, I don't know, I've done maybe 10 of these drives, so I'm not an expert by any means. But normally when you apply just the minimum amount of force like this, it just falls apart into pieces. Like cheese. Like, yeah, this one is a fighter. I should have put it back in. Let's see if can we remove see if I can scrape off the oxidation there. Gently, of course, you don't want to mess with the shape of the gear. Oh yeah? Huh. So the green stuff just comes right off. Hard to see again, but yeah. Yep, just comes right off. So it's only slightly discolored. Yeah, why not? Good idea, Brandon. Actually, let's make this an experiment then. How long does one of these gears last when they're in this state? So it's been unused for 20 years, and it's obviously because you saw in an earlier stream that the state of this machine is great. Like it's clearly been stored in a climate-controlled area. So when the computer is in good shape and the gear is in good shape, how long will it last until it inevitably breaks down? The original ones are a little softer by design, and that probably makes ejecting a little quieter. That may have been another consideration. I've heard so many different explanations for this. I remember one explanation was that they used some kind of fire retardant in that cog because it sits next to the motor, so that's where, you know, a lot of heat friction supposedly happens with that small metal cog, so that it's you know, to stop them from catching fire. This doesn't sound like a good theory. And then the second theory is, as I mentioned just earlier in the stream, that it was designed to be a safe failure point. If the mechanism got gummed up elsewhere, that you wouldn't burn out the motor, but rather just ruin this cog. But yeah, Brendan, that's a good point. Maybe Sony and Apple designed it like this just to keep the drives quiet. And you know, we know how prickly Steve Jobs could be with this thing. I'm sure that he came in one day and he was like, "These new Sony drives are so loud when we eject. I don't like how scratchy they sound. You need to make them quieter." And then so the Sony engineers go like, "Oh, okay, we'll deliver that for you." And then they made one of the gears more brittle, soft plastic, and the rest is history. And we are here. What is it? No. Yeah, it's close to the Mac's. What is it? 40th birthday? What is it? 38 years. We gotta have to have a big event on the 40th birthday of the Mac, right? Anyways, there's I found that since they put quite a lot of lubricant. Oh, it's so dark. Sorry, I need to I think I need to get some lights behind this camera, because when I put it close here, it kind of gets dark. But this is not bad. Next year is 40. Cool. Yeah, 84. That's right. So yeah, there's quite a lot of grease down here. So I always find a lot of dust. So you want to kind of get the dust out of the way. But I don't like to drown it in alcohol again, just because that will dissolve some of the good grease that's still there. You don't want to get the alcohol into the motor itself, right? So I just lift those out a little bit. So yeah, let's apply a little bit of this grease. As usual, I should probably get toothpicks next time I'm at the supermarket. I'm still just, let's see, where did that go? There it is. So I still like to use my old used Q-tips and just snip them off in the middle. And then I use the sharp end there to apply grease and stuff. You need just very, very little. So I'm just gonna apply a little grease down on this cog here. A little bit around it, like so. And then we put the yellow cog back in, and let's see how long it lasts. So mark this day. This is March 21st, 2023. How long would this original gear last? And I'm sure I'm gonna be using this computer. It's a great vintage Mac. So then they just slide in there back in the little housing, and then you to put this lid back on, you kind of just slide it under the little clips over here, and then you, while kind of pushing in on it, you push down so it goes on the clip there, and it's back in one piece. So let's do a quick just wipe off some of the grossness from this drive here and apply some more lubrication. We just add some alcohol on a piece of paper and wipe off. I'm gonna wipe off the old grease here. So yeah, a little bit of dirt coming off. So it's good to make note, as you do this, it's good to make note of where the original grease was was applied. So it's applied on these knobs, these 4 knobs, and it's applied around, let's see here. Yeah, it was applied in 2 streaks here and here, and here and here, because that's where the mechanism slides back and forth, right? There's some back here as well. There's some original grease on this little bump there. And there's also some grease on this clip thing. So we just wipe that off, and then we grab our new grease. And then we apply appropriate amounts around on these little bumps. Apply here, apply here, apply here, like so. Then we apply it back here, and then on these hooks, like so. And I think we're good with the bottom part. Actually, we should add some here as well. That goes on one of the bars that run into the. Sorry, it's right here. That runs into the eject motor. And remove any dust that you see. Oh yeah, and we want to remove some of the gummed up stuff on the little screw rail. So I know a lot of people like to clean these very thoroughly, but I usually don't do that. You can move this head back and forth a little bit to get in behind. So yeah, there's some black stuff that comes out of that. But yeah, I usually don't apply more grease on that screw because I think it gets really easily gummed up and a lot of dust gets stuck on it. And of course you want to wipe off dust from the. I'm gonna move this aside so I don't sprinkle more dust on top. Quite a lot of dust on this. So you can see there's grease here, 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 here. There's grease on this knob there, this knob there. So all these knobs, the front of this square. And there's also grease on these little cutouts here and here. And on this side as well. Like so. Oh, hi, 50 Shades of Beige, welcome. Liked your RTC chip video. Thank you very much. That was my first foray into making videos. So I'm glad it turned out to be informative for a bunch of people. Made a lot of mistakes. The footage was pretty messy, pretty, yeah, I'm figuring things out. So I think this is pretty clean. So we want to apply some more lubrication, a little bit of grease. Since we're getting the grease that were on the bottom here from the the bottom, the floor of the drive. Let's focus on adding grease on the areas here. Oh yeah, this is a great community. So 50 Shades of Beige, do you also run your own channel? There we go. So we don't want to overdo the lubrication, of course. I think this should be just about right. Let's pop this on right there. Now that's awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely check out your channel. I think I want to add a little bit more lubrication to these knobs here. Yeah, that's better. All right. So now we want to put these little rings back on. So the trick that works the best for me is just you sacrifice your thumb. You put the ring on your thumb, then you put your thumb right on top of the little knob, and then we push down. And it just pops right into place, and you get a little bump in your thumb there. It can be a little bit painful, but what you do, like so, and so. Oh, the BlueSCSI? Yeah, so we fixed that already. So you can look earlier in the stream. The BlueSCSI v1.1, it was some basic stuff. Yeah, I use angled tweezers to push it down without hurting my thumb. Yeah, that works too, I guess. I just feel I feel protective about these little rings. I want to give them the soft treatment, so I don't want to break or bend or whatever. Then. And now is this one. We probably need to wipe this off a bit. It's pretty dusty. Let's take a little piece of a paper towel, a little bit of alcohol. So here, the main grease on the top here is here, here, and around this knob here. So that's where we want to get more. You want to add back some grease. Let's move this out of the way. Wipe the bottom. And there's some grease around these knobs here and here. Which of course comes from these rails here they go into. But I think I want to add some more there because that's a pretty stiff part of the mechanism. So there we go. All right. Let's just apply some grease. Grease. It's a bit too much there. Grease on here. Oh, this knob as well, like so. So I don't know if there may be a better way to apply this grease, but yeah, this has worked okay for me. So spreads out the grease a bit. Can remove some excess. I think that's good. Okay. By the way, in the previous stream, I already cleaned the reed heads, so I'm not going to do that again. Yeah, so of course we want to put the eject motor back in, like so. By the way, this is of course common knowledge in the Mac sphere, vintage Mac sphere, but one fun aspect about, or one of the uniqueness about these Sony drives that were customized for Macs is that they have this eject motor, because Steve Jobs infamously wanted to automate that part, the ejection of floppy disks, to make everything happening through the software GUI and not asking the users to push a hardware button on the computer. Oh, hello, 1-Bit Fever Dreams. Welcome to the stream. I'm just refurbishing the Sony drive in the Mac SE. How are you tonight? So I think I want to apply a little bit more grease on these rails here and here. Seems pretty smooth. Grading papers. Are those? How is the next generation coming along? Are they? Is there hope for humanity? All right. So this is probably the fiddliest part of putting the drive back together. You have to make sure that the little the little leg here of the reed head, whatever it's called, the little arm here, goes underneath the plastic cover of the top of the drive. So you kind of, at the same time, you have to get these knobs on the side here into the rails, these 4 rails that they go into. So you have to align the top of the or the mid section in the right way. Kind of fiddle with it until all the knobs fall into place, and then you kind of have to lift the reed head up and get it on top of the plastic there. While being very careful not to bend it too much. Like so, there we go. So it's a little bit fiddly. Yeah, good to have you on here, 50 Shades of Beige. Have a great rest of your day, night, morning. Alright, so last but not least, we have to put these little springs back in place. It's easier than taking them off. Most of the time. Oops, come on. There we go. Alright, and then you want to eject the mechanism. And let's try our blank. Put it in there. And you want to have like it when you manually eject it, you want to have a nice spring, right? The discs should just come flying out like that. So a common symptom of a drive that needs refurbishment is that this whole mechanism is really there's a lot of friction, right? So when you do the manual ejects, the disc kind of just stays in there. So of course it has the automatic inject as well. Like the mechanism really grabs onto and uses the springs to pull the disc inside as well, and that needs to be really smooth too. But I think this is a nicely refurbished drive at this point. So let's just wipe some of the excess grease there. Common thing to watch out for, of course, is make sure that there's no grease on the disc as it comes back out. So that's a sign that you have too much grease in there. Alright, so let's put this computer back together once and for all. Well, actually, there's gonna be more projects for this machine, so it's not gonna stay undisturbed for long. But let's get this drive put together. Like so. So. Alright. Then of course we want to put the floppy cable back in, and I like to make sure that I use the right end so that the kind of the stiffness is the stiff cable is aligned with where it goes on the logic board later, if that makes sense. And let's see if we can screw this into place. I think I'm not super good at. I have a kind of system for keeping screws that I'm using for projects. I'm just not good at labeling them, so I'm not entirely sure always what goes where. But we'll see. I think these are the screws that came out of the drive bay originally. So let's align the BlueSCSI like so. Let's see if these screws are good for holding on. They may be a little bit too long, so I may have to find other screws. Let's see how deep they go. Yeah, definitely too long. So I think I'm gonna see. I have a bunch of scrap screws in this container here. So I like to, when I discard when I recycle some broken tech, I like to take out all the screws so I can use them for other projects in the future. It's very handy. So yeah, I think these screws are perfect for this BlueSCSI BlueSCSI, what's it called? Getting tired. bracket is the word. So you want to make sure that all the cabling reaches. So this LED header should go on like so. So it's a perfect match. Sometimes you have to extend this cable, but I'm very happy to report that it fits perfectly. Two more screws. So I think I'm pretty sure these are the stock hard drive screws that came out of this Mac. So I think I'm gonna bag these and put them inside the machine, like tape the bag onto here, just so I keep the original screws with the original machine. If somebody wants to, or maybe if I want to put a hard disk drive back in. I like to keep a little stash of baggies for that purpose. There we go. So the BlueSCSI is pretty nicely installed there. Now, the big the challenge is sometimes to get the SCSI cable, the 50-pin cable to ribbon cable to fit into the logic board, or to reach rather. I think that what we want to do is switch over to this and remove this, move the tools out of the way, and let's install the drive bay. Oh, good to unplug the power. Be careful. Don't do what I do. And this is tricky because the video card backplane and cabling is in the way there. But goes in. I think I mentioned this before, but when you reinsert these drive bays, you need to make sure that the front hooks of the bay are firmly in the little holes that are underneath the bezel here. Otherwise, the entire bay will be a millimeter or two too high, and you won't be able to get any floppy disks in and out through the opening on the front. And it's a pain when you realize that after putting everything together, and then you have to open it up again and pull out the logic board, and you have to pull out the drive bay, and yeah, you don't love yourself at those times. Wait a minute. Actually, these 4 screws actually may have been what held on the drive bay itself. Now when I think of it. So 4 screws hold the drive bay in place. So, and then the logic board goes in. We shouldn't, well, I deliberately don't put a battery back in here. I prefer not having ticking time bombs. So first thing you want to do is to reattach the speaker header, like there, because it's almost impossible to get that in after you slide the logic board in place. And then you, I think I showed this in a previous stream, but you want to put the logic board into the left-hand side rails here, and then align the tabs on the other side of the logic board with the openings in the rail on the other side. And then you just push it in, you push it down, and it goes in perfectly. Oh yeah, my SE had the exact same problem. Yeah, you learn through mistakes. Okay, let's put this on top. Actually, so I think this is a good opportunity to test this. So this is something that Xenocide, friend of the show, he printed these for me. These are the desk savers, or whatever they're called, for the Compact Macs, and they're supposed to not avoid scratching your desk as you move the Compact Macs around without the back housing. So they have little little rings here, and let's see here. They're supposed to go into one of the openings of these boards, and you kind of push them in, I think. Or is it the other one? Yeah, I don't know if I'm doing this. Oh, wait a minute. There are little hooks there. So they go on here. Yeah, something like that. Then you align it with the something like that. It's kind of on. I think it needs to the little ring piece here needs to go fully into the hole there, and I couldn't really get it in. So maybe I just need to shave off a little bit of plastic. Like so. Okay, the other one is on. I mean, yeah. So you get like maybe 4 millimeters of extra clearance there. So when it slides out, of course I have this cover underneath. But yeah, it kind of holds the logic board just a couple of millimeters off of the surface. So yeah, that definitely helps avoid scratching if you slide your Compact Mac around a lot. So yeah, if you have a 3D printer, that could be an easy little project to do. They're very, very simple shapes. So thanks again, Xenocide, for printing this for me. I got some other stuff from him that I'm going to be using for future projects. Alright, so let's see if this is the moment of truth. Will the SCSI cable reach? And my immediate thought is it won't, maybe? Actually, let's hook up the interconnection first. This is the fiddliest part, perhaps. Oh, after the SCSI cable, of course. Come on, get in there. There we go. And the floppy cable. There we go. And now SCSI. So this is the stock SCSI cable. Of course, if the other ribbon cable I've been using, that's a very long one that I that I've been using for the test bench to work. Okay, let's see if 50-pin cable reaches. And it kind of does. Yeah, actually, that's okay. I have it in there. So that's not bad. Let's feed the PSU power as well into it. And for good measure, let's go for broke and install the Micron card as well. This was featured very early on. It's the Micron Exceed Color 30, I think it was. Goes into the PDS slot. And then there's a header here to connect. It's in there. Alright. The computer is back together. Let's turn it on. Let's see if it boots. Ooh. Chime. Oh. And we get immediate SADMAC for whatever reason. Could be the RAMs. The RAM is not having great connection. Let's start out by hi Justin, thanks for joining. I'll remove the Micron card. We just put together the SC30 and we get immediate SADMAC or SAD chime. That's better. It is, why were we getting SADMAC or the SAD chime with the Micron card though? Maybe it's poor connection in the, of course the BlueSCSI isn't working. More troubleshooting. Let's see here. We didn't change anything, so the cursed Micron card. Fastest chimes with death repair. Yeah. Well, if does the Micron card not like the 32-bit clean ROM, perhaps? Yeah, it may not have been seeded well. But let's make sure that the BlueSCSI works again. I wonder if there's just this cable that's a bit oxidized, or maybe I haven't gotten it to connect well down there. It's always fun to get these 50-pin cables. get them to fit properly down there. Okay, let's see if BlueSCSI is happier. Curse of the solder ball in the PDS slide. Yikes, that sounds unpleasant. You don't want solder inside of a Eurodin 96 pin header. Okay, there we go. So that's a common thing when you try to get the 50 pin SCSI ribbon cable into the logic board. Sometimes you don't get good contact down there. You have to kind of really push it down. So let's see if the PDS slots, if the micron card works. I think for good measure, let's get some contact cleaner in there. Hook up the header, like so. Power back on. Oops. So let's because I have this micron card used to work, so it's probably, I don't think I've used the micron card together with the 32-bit clean ROM. I really hate switching it, so I have to use the 30, actually, no, that's not true. So I have to use the 32-bit clean ROM to use the 128 megs of SIMs. It's 128 megs of memory, and I really hate getting the RAM SIMs out of there on these flaky SIM slots. Yeah, I should try the old ROM. Fun times. Micron card is out. And let's put the Mac on its face. Remove the cables. Get the logic board out. So I know that people have completely decked out their SC30s before and have, you know, all the RAM and the 32-bit clean ROM, and they've had the 68040 accelerator and the network card and the micron card and the grayscale adapter and everything in one SC30. So it should be a viable configuration as far as I know. So it's weird that this one doesn't like it. I need to go pick up the ROM from my stash again. We got ROM. We got 1 megabyte sims. Oh, it's the Micron Exceed Color 30. What it's called. So maybe that's the thing. Yeah, maybe it's that this particular Exceed that doesn't like 32-bit clean. Probably show. There we go. This is the original ROM, and yeah, I'm gonna change the RAM as well, because I'm pretty sure that let's try it just for science. What happens when you use a stock ROM with 120 megs of RAM? I think it's just gonna sad Mac. I'm pretty sure. Oh. So yeah, I've shown this before, but I have this extension cable thing for the interconnection, so I can have the logic board out here, and I won't bother to hook up the speaker. I'm gonna let's where is it? Just a moment. Oh, thanks for tracking down the manual. I'm just gonna hook up headphones, which it won't come through very well in the video, but well, I just hate having the logic board tilted up against the side of the monitor, trying to get the speaker cable hooked up. Let's do this without the BlueSCSI for starters. Okay, that's a Happy Mac chime. Interesting. So how much memory will it be able to address? So a Micron card. Let's listen. Yep, no sad Mac. So I guess it just doesn't like this 32-bit clean ROM. Let's put that back in and see if we get the problem again. Yep, that's the sad Mac chime. All right, I think that's pretty clear cut then. The Micron card and this hacked ROM does not go well together, which is a bummer, because I had really I really wanted to have something, you know, put it together as a maxed out 128 megabytes SC30 with a Micron card. And also, spoiler alert, the upcoming project is to build the grayscale neckboard adapter for the internal monitor that goes with the Micron card. I have sourced. I'm just waiting for the final part to arrive, and I'm gonna see here. I have a PCB right here, all ready to go. So this is the reverse engineered neckboard that goes with the Micron card. It's another creation of Bole, who is you know, just an awesome guy and awesome engineer. And it's a fairly simple piece of tech. So I'll build that in a future video, and at least I guess I'll have an SC30 with a lot less RAM and 24-bit dirty ROM, but I think that's more important than having 128 megs of RAM on a 16 megahertz machine. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's possible that there's a fault on this Micron card that's causing it to error out when using 32-bit clean ROM, or maybe there's so this is I could try other hacked ROMs potentially. Maybe I should track down a Rominator 2, right? And see if that's more effective in working with this Micron card. Can't you just still use mode 32 with the stock ROM and use the extra RAM? Yeah, that's right. Which is fine. I'm totally okay with that. So yeah, I think that's a project for next time. And yeah, I think I'll wrap it here. It's been a pleasure and a privilege to interact with you all, and thanks for watching, and have a great rest of your day, morning, evening.